Bartimaeus was a beggar. He lived in Jericho, a bustling city on a dusty road. Every day he sat by the roadside. He couldn't see. Bartimaeus was blind. He would call out to passers-by, hoping for a coin or a scrap of food. But his story is not forgotten. The Bible tells us his name: Bartimaeus. His encounter with Jesus is a beacon of hope. It's a story for all of us. It reminds us that Jesus sees us. He hears us. He knows our name. We can learn from Bartimaeus. He teaches us about faith. He teaches us about courage. He teaches us about the love of Jesus. One day, Bartimaeus heard a commotion. A crowd was approaching. The noise grew louder, and he could sense the excitement in the air. People were talking animatedly, their voices filled with anticipation and hope. Bartimaeus strained to hear what they were saying, his heart pounding with curiosity. He heard whispers of Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus, the miracle worker, the Son of David. Hope surged within Bartimaeus. He had heard stories of Jesus healing the sick, giving sight to the blind, and even raising the dead. Could it be true? Could this man really perform such miracles? Could this be his chance? Could Jesus heal him? Bartimaeus had been blind for as long as he could remember. He had lived in darkness, relying on the kindness of others to survive. But now, a glimmer of hope shone in his heart. If anyone could heal him, it was Jesus. "Son of David, have mercy on me!" Bartimaeus cried out. His voice was filled with desperation and longing. He shouted louder, hoping to be heard above the noise of the crowd. This was his one chance, and he couldn't let it slip away. He knew who Jesus was. He had heard the stories, and he believed them. He believed that Jesus was the Son of David, the promised Messiah. He believed that Jesus had the power to heal him. He believed in Jesus' power. He had faith that Jesus could heal him. This was more than just a plea for physical healing. It was a cry from his soul, a cry for mercy, a cry for deliverance. He had faith that Jesus could heal him. He had heard of others who had been healed by Jesus, and he believed that he could be healed too. He had nothing to lose and everything to gain. This was more than just a plea for physical healing. It was a cry from his soul, a cry for mercy, a cry for deliverance. Bartimaeus wasn't asking for a handout. He was asking for a miracle. It was a cry from his soul, a cry for mercy, a cry for deliverance. Bartimaeus wasn't asking for a handout. He was asking for a miracle. He was placing all his hope in Jesus. He was expressing his faith in the one who could make him whole. He was expressing his faith in the one who could make him whole. He believed that Jesus could change his life forever. This was his moment of faith, his moment of hope. Bartimaeus knew that if Jesus heard his cry, his life would never be the same again. The crowd tried to silence Bartimaeus. "Be quiet!" they hissed. They were annoyed by his persistent cries. They didn't think he was worthy of Jesus' attention. But Bartimaeus wouldn't be silenced. He shouted even louder, "Son of David, have mercy on me!" He knew his need was great. He wouldn't let the opinions of others deter him. He refused to let their doubts become his own. Their negativity wouldn't extinguish his flicker of hope. Bartimaeus clung to his faith. His persistence was a testament to his faith. He knew that if he could just reach Jesus, everything would change. He believed that his cries would be heard. And they were. Section 4. Jesus stops for Bartimaeus. Jesus stopped. He heard Bartimaeus' desperate cries. He wasn't too busy. He wasn't too important. "Call him," Jesus commanded. The crowd's tune changed. "Take heart, get up, he's calling you," they encouraged Bartimaeus. What a moment. The one who had been told to be quiet was now being summoned. The one who was considered insignificant was now the center of attention. Jesus saw him. Jesus heard him. Jesus cared. Jesus stops for the one. He sees the individual. He hears the cries of the heart. No matter how small you may feel, Jesus sees you. He hears you. He calls you by name. Section 5. Casting aside the old life. Bartimaeus didn't hesitate. He had been waiting for this moment his entire life. The moment when he could finally break free from the chains of his past. He threw off his cloak. It was more than just a piece of clothing. It was a symbol of his old identity, his struggles, and his limitations. He didn't need it anymore. The cloak had served its purpose, but now it was time to move on. He was leaving his old life behind. Every step he took away from that cloak was a step towards a brighter future. He jumped to his feet and ran towards Jesus. His heart was pounding, not from fear, but from excitement and hope. His blindness didn't slow him down. In fact, it seemed to fuel his determination even more. His faith propelled him forward. Each stride was a testament to his unwavering belief that his life was about to change. The cloak represented his old life. his life of blindness, his life of begging. It was a life filled with limitations and hardships. He was leaving it all behind. The doubts, the fears, the insecurities, they were all in the past now. He was stepping out in faith. Each step was a declaration of his trust in the new path he was about to embark on. He was embracing a new life, a life filled with possibilities, hope, and endless opportunities. He knew that encountering Jesus would change everything. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment that would redefine his existence. It was a tangible act of faith, a bold move that signified his readiness to embrace the unknown, a symbol of his trust in Jesus, a trust that was unshakable and pure, a declaration that he was ready for a new beginning, a beginning that promised hope, transformation, and a future filled with light. Section 6, More Than a Miracle. What do you want me to do for you? Jesus asked. Rabbi, I want to see, Bartimaeus exclaimed. Go, said Jesus, your faith has healed you. Immediately, Bartimaeus could see. He wasn't just healed, he was transformed. Bartimaeus received more than just his sight. He received a new life. He received forgiveness. He received a relationship with Jesus. He received a purpose. The miracle wasn't just about physical sight, it was about spiritual sight. Bartimaeus saw Jesus for who he truly was, the Son of God, the Messiah, his Savior. Section 7, A Call to Bold Faith. Bartimaeus didn't just walk away healed, he followed Jesus, he became his disciple. This was a profound transformation, not just of his physical sight but of his entire life. He left behind his old ways and embraced a new path, one filled with purpose and devotion. He dedicated his life to the one who had given him so much. Every day Bartimaeus would wake up with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that his life had been forever changed. His prayers were not just words, but a deep expression of his unwavering faith. He went from begging for scraps to sharing the bread of life. In his newfound faith, Bartimaeus found a community, a family of believers, who shared in his joy and his mission. Together they broke bread and shared stories of hope and redemption. Bartimaeus' story is our story. His journey from darkness to light mirrors our own spiritual journeys. We all have moments of doubt and despair, but like Bartimaeus we can find hope and healing in Jesus. We are all in need of healing. We all need Jesus. In our moments of weakness we must remember that we are not alone. There is a greater power at work ready to lift us up and guide us through our struggles. Don't let your circumstances silence your faith. Cry out to him, persist in prayer. Just as Bartimaeus called out to Jesus despite the crowd's attempts to silence him, we too must be bold in our faith. Our persistence in prayer can move mountains. Believe that Jesus sees you. In your moments of doubt, remember that you are seen and heard. Your cries for help do not go unnoticed. Jesus is always there, watching over you with love and compassion. He hears you, he loves you. His love is unconditional and ever-present. No matter where you are or what you are going through, his love surrounds you, offering comfort and peace. He wants to heal you. Jesus' desire is for your wholeness and well-being. He wants to mend your brokenness and bring you to a place of complete healing, both physically and spiritually. He wants to transform you. Just as Bartimaeus' life was transformed, Jesus wants to bring about a profound change in your life. He wants to renew your spirit and fill you with joy and purpose. He wants you to follow him. The call to follow Jesus is a call to a life of adventure and discovery. It is a journey that requires faith, courage, and a willingness to step into the unknown. Have the bold faith of Bartimaeus. Cry out to Jesus. Let your faith be a beacon of hope and strength. Do not be afraid to express your need for him, for it is in our vulnerability that we find true strength. He is waiting to answer. Jesus is always ready to respond to your call. He is waiting with open arms, ready to provide the answers and guidance you seek. Trust in his timing and his plan for your life. If you found this message encouraging, share with someone today.